We are now going to be looking at a couple of the more challenging areas in estate duty. Now guys, to be frank with you, the majority of these things used to be at a cycle level 1, which basically meant that you just have to have a passing knowledge in it. But when they changed the cycles ITC, it's obviously now been moved to a cycle level 3. But now, in my opinion, I do not believe that this is the most important for you, and I believe everything that we studied before this for estate duty is a lot more important. So I don't want you to spend too much time on this section. Only spend time on it once you've mastered everything else. If you struggle with the rest of the estate duty, you don't have time, then I suggest that you don't look at this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the value of limited interests. Now remember again guys, a limited interest is a fiduciary interest, a usufruct, a bare dominium, or an annuity. Now I'm going to just remind you very quickly again, what is a usufruct and what is a bare dominium, right? This is a pen, as you can see, and admit that you are totally impressed with. Right, so this is a pen. This pen is worth 10 rands. Now, all assets work like this. This asset consists actually of two parts. It consists of a usufruct and it consists of a bare dominium. Now, very quickly, without going into too much detail, a usufruct is the right to use the pen. So, for example, if I have the usufruct of the pen, I can use the pen, I can write a poem, I can write a story, I can sell it, I can get all the money. The right to use or the right to the fruit of it. The bare dominium is the right to ownership. Okay, now the right to ownership obviously means that the person who can buy or can sell the pen. Now, usually you have both of these. But it is possible for you to split this out for an asset and have a usufruct and a bare dominium. So the usufruct might be worth 8 rands, and if the total pen is worth 10 rands, then the bare dominium will be worth 2 rands. Now, guys, as with the donation stacks, they will provide you with the value of the usufructs. However, and this is now where the challenge comes in, there are certain provisos in section 5.1b. Section 5.1b is a section that tells us how to determine the value of a usufruct. There are certain provisos in there which they've indicated that you might need to be able to apply. Now, in my opinion, like I said, even if you don't get your head around these provisos, they can't count too many marks, so I wouldn't stress too much about it. But there are two provisos. Now, what I want you to understand is we are looking at this in a situation where the usufructuary dies. Now, remember, the usufructuary is a person that had the usufruct. Now, what I want you to understand, in terms of the common law, a common law, I will say, when I give someone a usufruct, I can tell them, when you die, the usufruct goes to the next person. And I can tell who that person is. Now, that is fine. But if I do not say who the usufruct must go to, so I'll say, I'll give you the usufruct, and if you die, it must go to your son. So if I don't say it, if I say I'm giving you the usufruct, if you then die, it will automatically go to the bare dominium holder. Right, and this is very often the case, that the usufruct goes to the bare dominium holder. So while I'm alive, I have the usufruct, but when I die, it goes to the bare dominium holder. Now what I want you to understand, when we're looking at these provisos, we are looking at the person who held the usufruct when they died. So it's not if I say in my will and testament, create a usufruct to go to someone else, I must have had the usufruct myself. It's not, do not look at it for the bare dominium holder. Although you're going to see we're going to use bare dominium information here, we don't look at it. We just look at it for the person who has the usufruct. Okay, now basically what happens here is the following. The first proviso says, if the bare dominium holder paid for the bare dominium, then you must reduce the value of the usufruct by the amount that has been paid for the bare dominium, together with interest compounded at 6% per annum. Okay, and you will see all of these guys in the lecture example. The lecture example will make it a bit more clear. That's the first one. So again, if I've got the usufruct and the person who has the bare dominium will have to pay for it, when I die, when I calculate my usufruct, they will deduct from the amount that I paid for, that the bare minimum holder paid for it, they'll deduct from the value of my usufruct. Now, I know it seems a bit strange. Why would you deduct the value of the bare minimum from the usufruct? It's basically for the calculation of the usufruct because it will change the value there. Okay, the second proviso, guys, and this one is a bit more challenging. The second proviso says, if the usufruct and the bare minimum were created at the same time, and now the person dies who has the usufruct, then the value of the usufruct may not exceed the following amount: the market value of the asset on the date of death less the value of the bare minimum when it was first created. Okay, so that's the little formula. So again, you'll see this in the lecture example. One last time, guys, for the first and the second proviso, I do not believe that you should be too stressed about it. It's not necessarily the most important.
There are certain rebates which are deductible against estate duty. There's the foreign death duty rebate and the rapid succession rebate, which is excluded from your syllabus. So the foreign death duty rebate. Basically, this applies to a situation where a taxpayer pays estate duty in South Africa, and in another country they also pay estate duty or some sort of death tax, so a death duty. So, for example, let's take, for example, a guy or girl, and let's do it as follows. This is a resident. Mrs. A is a resident. She has property in South Africa of 5 million rands, and she has property in America of 2 million rands. Right? She pays death duty in America of, correctly translated into rands, of, let's say 350,000. Okay, let's see what happens. So, what happens now? Here's section 4A abatement. Right, so 700,000 rands. So what will happen now is they'll say, okay, we understand that this person is now paying tax in South Africa on the property in the USA, because it's included in there, and they've also paid in a different country. So they'll say, you are allowed to say less death duty, foreign death duty. So what you need to work out is you work out how much estate duty is payable on it. So you look at this estate duty you've paid, that's 700,000. So you say 2 million out of the total 7 million net value times your 700,000, right? How much is that? Right, so that means it is 200,000 rands. Then you compare that to the foreign death duty. How much was actually paid in the foreign country? In this case, it is 350,000. So thus, the rebate is the lower of the two. So 200,000 rands. Right, so that is the rebate. So from that 700,000, you'll deduct the 200,000 foreign death duty rebate, and you'll end up only paying 500,000 rands.